Wednesday, May 26, 10:19 in the morning. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. If you join me at another time, you know the time and the date of when I did this video. The name of this video is Why Nothing Don't Work. Now, last night I did a very calm and quiet video. We lit some candles, and I'm going to do a lot of those because I'm going to be lighting candles again for the duration of this, because while it seems to some to be powerless, Stephen Reese said something this morning. And I want you to hear Stephen Reese's words so that you understand why we're lighting candles. But the name of this video is Why Nothing Don't Work, and it's important. But here's Stephen.
Morning. Every single organizer, if nothing do unite all these different organizations to come together now, I don't know what will. This man making this accusation, this false accusation, is an attack on right-thinking citizens who decided, well, listen, we fed up. But it also shows the kind of people power that these people are afraid of. And I don't know if people are reading it from that perspective, you know. That's to tell you how much they afraid in numbers and unity. And that's the conversation people are supposed to start having now. That the only thing a man could turn to make a mad statement like that, right, where he have no data to back it up, is because they're afraid unity. And they're afraid of the amount of numbers they see out there for those vigils. And it sent a shockwave through them. They start to wonder, but if these people come together, we're in trouble.
I want to tell you something. Stephen spot on with that. Stephen spot on with that. Let me tell you why Stephen spot on with that. And I don't want to stay on this point for long, but I want to let you know why I'm going to continue to light my candles. And I'm going to the grocery today, and I'm going to buy a case of candles. I'm going to be lighting candles as much as possible. I'll tell you why. The PNM, please remind me if I forget. The reason for the video is why nothing don't work. I want to come back to that. I want to focus on the parliament. I want to focus on the failure of our parliament and the abuse of power by the presiding officers in every situation. And I have a couple examples to make why our parliament is supposed to do better. But yes, Mama. Yeah, I'm doing a video. Yes, Mama. Right, back on point. When the boss interrupts, I have to pay attention to what she's saying. When we went Knox Street on the 5th of March to launch the candlelight movement, we went Woodford Square. The mayor of Port of Spain ejected us from our square. In another country, that might have led to confrontation. We, the candlelight movement, we know that we were surrounded by mummies and daddies and grannies and grandpas and babies and toddlers. We just walk out the square. Here's our boss, Martinez. Yo, win. We walk out. What happened? People saw on that live video the disrespect, the abuse of office, the high-handedness. But more importantly, they saw in the candlelight movement and how we handled it. You see, the best use of power, all through history, what is recorded, all of the layers that make up history, that go back in time, because every 100 years, lots of things happen, but only certain things made the layer of history. And what usually makes the layer is the best restraint of power. People came Knox Street, and they told me that night, I wasn't coming to your movement. Every time these jackasses take action against democratic action, the people wake up a little more. Every time. What Rowley did in the parliament, what he did at that state of emergency, wind up. That crap he talked about the candlelight vigil. You go and scroll my threads and you will see people saying, I was on the fence, in. I wasn't even studying all year, in. I wasn't paying attention, in. I was against all year, in. What Rowley doing? What these jackasses? What these short reach muckum flows that financing the PNM? who like they're just there to eat. Ram it in my hole, ram it in my hole. I want for my children, I want generational wealth. I want my hairy ass to look like I worth something. So I know I have no value, I have no brain, but I could thief and I could corrupt. So I could work with corruptible people. Let me eat. That's how they move. That's how they behave. That's how the whole PNM comes across. Let them in, they want a thief. And the public, fed up of that, seeing, we will continue to light candles. We will continue to light candles. I promised them that first night, that first candle, the glow from this candle will change this country. Andrea Barrett. It's not something to play with, Keith Rowley. When Andrea's daddy, you see that man? That man, I big and I strong, man. I tell you, I strong, you know. I could take things. But Andrea and her family just reduced me to tears all the time. You hear what Andrea Barrett daddy say? He ain't costly, man. He ain't grand charge. He ain't grandstand. You know what he said? He said, leave my daughter name out your mouth. Her birthday is next month. Let her rest in peace. Randolph Barrett is a giant of a man. Randolph Barrett taught me things I didn't know I could learn at this age and this stage of my life. I researched something called Stoicism, and if you're not aware of what that is, just Google it, YouTube it, read about it. It's not heavy learning. And it teaches you how to deal with the vicissitudes of life. And some of the greatest people in history were Stoics. And it's not a religion, it's a philosophy, a way of living life. And I don't even know if Randolph Barrett knows what Stoicism is, but he is the greatest example of a Stoic person I have ever known. When I met Randolph Barrett, I met him in the church. I didn't know I had met him at his house. The man was so humble. And the morning of the funeral, that's when I met Randolph Barrett. All them vigil and all of that, never met the man before. Didn't know the family before. I met him the morning of the funeral, the 12th of February, in his house, and I didn't know I met him there. When I met him in the church, and he shook his hand and said, boss, you are my hero. I am learning from you. And again, I remember when the media went to interview him sometime after, and he said, I quit my job, I have no interest in none of this, I don't want none of my tax-paying dollars to go to uphold criminals. The man is a genius. He is brilliant, he is grounded. People born for certain times, he born for this. Christ, whoever he believes in, whatever, something is upholding this man, Randolph Barrett, and making him, because it is because of Randolph Barrett. Only ask me, why not Ashanti Riley? Go and ask Ashanti mother, who afraid to law she walk. Go ask Ashanti mother. When I post something and it starts to get mad traction and people write me and tell me, boy, Paul, long what you have there, people mightn't like it, and da. Or they think we ain't want to do this for everybody. I jump out myself a Becca Silal. After a week, again, I watch, I wait to see who doing what. Everybody weeping on Facebook, weeping, but they ain't doing jack. They wouldn't inconvenience themselves. They wouldn't spend 5 cents to see her aunts dance. They wouldn't take a night off to sacrifice and light a candle and lead a vigil. No, I wait a week. The start of the second week, I get involved. I call his mommy and I interview them and I ask them, do you want me to get involved? I asked them first. He said yes. I got involved. I did a live video with them to raise the issue because I know the power of my voice. Satish Ramsaran sent me information this morning from Facebook that my page gets more engagements than the entirety of the PNM and the UNC combined. I know the power of my voice. A young lady named Kamala Harris sent me an interview. Kamala Williams, I apologize. I'm mixing her up with the vice president. But Kamala Williams, I'm going to make sure that's her correct name and I will have it here. And she met Kamala Williams. She messaged me last night while I was doing a live. She said, I wrote a poem for Andrea. You don't have to give me any credit. You could read it anonymously. I said, ma'am, not only am I not reading this anonymously, I am going to make sure it goes viral and that you get the credit for your poem. I know the power of my voice. The first time I called Keith Rowley a jackass, it stick. He never get, somebody make a meme, they send it around with a Baptist woman trying to wipe something off his head. Who put this name on you, boy? Why it not coming off? Keith Rowley, no. They know. All of them know. I had to tell a law firm last night who try a heavy-handed thing with a member of my family. I say, listen to me now. I call your name the wrong way, a twist, you know. And yeah, you could fight. But the juice will not be worth the squeeze. I know the power of my voice. Andrea Barrett, daddy, allowed us, and I want you to hear this, he allowed us to take his daughter's name and use it to try and protect other women. He could have said no. His daughter is gone. This guy help her. Let me live my life in peace. And he allowed us. And he did it in little things that were bigger than mountains. I'll never forget walking from Arima on my own, single man walking, and along the way, seeing a person standing on the side of the pavement. I saw people standing on the side of the pavement right through, rain was falling, he was standing. And as I walked past, he stepped off and started to walk with me. So only when I looked twice, I realized it's Andrea Barrett's father. He come to bring an umbrella for me. Bring Andrea an umbrella. Becca Silal family member called me and tell me, pull on the video, it causing me stress, and all talk in the family, and some is this way and some that way, and maybe we don't want it. I pull everything down. A couple hours later, the same person messaged me to apologize. She didn't know who I was. She didn't know what it was about. There was a little bit of ranga in the family, and they overreacted. I said, no problem. I hope this is resolved positively for the family, but I'm not getting involved. You see, I went to Shannon Banfield, arm in arm bullshit in King George V Park, and I watched them. Papi show that girl. March down Charlotte Street. I watched them papi show the girl. I watched them papi show Asami in Woodford Square and did nothing to go forward. There was no call. There was no follow-up. There was no investigation. I stand by Gary. I stand by Sort. I stand by Hernandez. I followed the whole case. When Kirkwaite come to talk his crocus bag of shit, I went at Kirkwaite because this whole case and everything to do with Andrea is now of importance to me. You don't arm in arm and stunt and go King George V Park and talk shit for Shannon Banfield and then let it blow away in the breeze. You don't go and march with yourself. I want to tell all your things, but there are some things, boy, if I say it, I know it breaks them. They had to go and find the mommy and the lawyer because Philip hurt me. I know the power of my voice this morning. But you can't come in Woodford Square and beat up yourself and throw your frame and then the next day it's done. So when Asha Javid jump out, she said, to ask. I just asking, I ain't trying to make no confusion around the chula this morning. But why you only do it for Andrea? I'll give you the reasons this morning. Andrea was an angel. She was beyond reproach. There's nothing you could find that you could say this girl went for man. She went to horn. She was looking for drugs. Not this girl is like, she walked through this world a symbol of innocence. They released a video of this girl in a car, a toy car that she had when she was a baby. Now she's a grown woman at her father in his workbench. I saw the workbench when I was in his yard on the morning of the funeral where he fixed that car. And he and her laughing on that video while she driving this little car. Andrea Barrett epitomized what everybody wants for their daughter. Growing up strong, educated, working hard in a good job, doing the right thing, loyal to your family, innocent, chaste, have a sense. We see pictures of Andrea by the river, Andrea, and she in clothes, she not in no flam her body thing. So it was impossible for them, because they have the hyenas on the fringe of our conversation, always ready, Rhoda Barrett, always ready, gra, 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 gra. This next clown who was with with this councillor, God, they had formed a thing called Country First. I can't remember she name now. She gone wild and rabid. She like one of them wild pig. They say if you let a pig go in the jungle, the tusks does grow out and the hair does grow. She looking like that. She come outside the Woodford Square and scream at people who was in Woodford Square marching for Asami. I can't remember her name. She call on PNM people to run in UNC people's house and kill them and thing. The other day, yeah. But they beat up for this little Trinidad, and Trinidad and them wasn't my friends, but I'm telling you something, you see the standard. And she went too far. You're not supposed to be inciting violence, and I'm telling you that. You can't. You must stand up strong and stand for your rights and stand by your words. But people, when they look to leadership, you must always say, and I've always said, unclench your fists. Because we can't come into power on becoming what we hold in contempt. What's the point of us? The Congress of the People proved that all they wanted to be was a mini Manning. They just wanted Manning playbox to play. They didn't want to fix the country. It was all bullshit and it's a lie. So I can't be part of that. And I know they watch me and they say, I got out of Stephen K. I get out for years. Because your skin light, you have a little caramel latte, so you're obviously coming from middle class. And what you're doing coming down in this thing, you're talking about people dead body. No. Stephen K. I get that. I understand. I had to take and deal with all of that. And in this situation, we trod lightly. My post was, I am going to light a candle. And call Andrea name. I went to the Red House to do a live video to tell them they're full of shit, the entire parliament, all of you. And that is the purpose of this video. So we come into that. But all it was full of shit. And they took that video and they played it all in the Virgin Islands. It reached America. People saying, look what's going on in Trinidad. Juliet Davy, that jackass. That hoof-foot, noise-making Lajables. She is an insult to political activism. Yeah. And she and Rhoda Barrett and people like them who just want to come and jackass, rowley the scene. They just want to come and rowley the scene from outside. They couldn't find a bad word to say about Andrea. We trod lightly. And every night. That first candle was, that's it, you know. It was never meant to be a vigil. It was never meant to be 9 nights. It was never meant to spawn a candlelight movement. None of those things were planned. This happened organically with each passing night. As different people came and added their flavor to what we was doing. And in all of that was cognizant Randolph Barrett. What does Daddy Barrett say? Girl message here, girl message there. Cool. He came to some events after the funeral. He just came. He would just show up. There's never a plan. Died a little bit. Give me a little message from her. He'd be on the live videos. And he would make some statements sometimes. And I'd be guided. But the reason no other person who this happened to got this kind of attention and traction was because always there are people who interrupt that organic growth and make big boss claim. Last night, CNC3 and TV6 interview everybody but me. And that is okay, because it was never about me. Talk to everybody. You know why I'm glad? There are a lot of movements outside there that is one person. It's just that person talking every day and talking plenty times a day. But if it's just you, you're not going to accomplish nothing. There are a gentleman who I have great respect for. He's a very deep, brilliant, outspoken, rough. And if I could get him into any movement, it would be a benefit to everybody. And he told me once, he said, listen to me, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with people. And I am okay that I am surrounded by people, Stefan Rees. I say yesterday, Jody Mohammed, Candice Barron, Enchan Ishmael, Felicia Holder. I said yesterday, when the ton of bricks was falling on Rowley, I said, but he's a madman. If you take my voice out, you still went up against a movement that is Stefan Rees, Enchan Ishmael, Candice Barron, Jody Thomas, Felicia Holder, Avanel Hector Joseph. You have to be a madman. There are signs at the zoo. Don't put your hand in the cage, you will lose your hand. All of these people appeal to a different cross-section of Trinidad and Tobago. All of these people come to this movement from a lifetime of self-sacrifice and giving and doing and helping. So it's not like we show up because peas and cookies sharing. We showed up and came together because we were all the right pieces to come together. And it took a lot of work to make some of those things happen. And I'm proud to be in a movement that have that much talent. It's not just me. So I'm in a thread, I'm in a WhatsApp thread that is the whole team. And behind the scenes, Sean Sunarayan and Satish Ramsaran and Paul Nahus, who take care and make these things and facilitate the happenings. And they don't want to jump to front, and they don't need a name calling. But without them, and again, I want to say this. This morning, every morning, Felicia and Lima does a show. Every morning, Progressive Empowerment Party, they do a morning show still, and it continues every single day. And they do that every single day, and they have plenty of people who don't have the stamina to continue like that. They have members who have worked with us, who have walked with us, who continue to work and continue to walk and continue to speak. And I know that the movement that has been built around all of this will last. And it will make, listen, we don't have corruption money. We don't have cocaine money to bribe you and buy you and promise you when you get into office you can thief the whole of Petrotrain. We don't have that. All we have is the ability to conjure an image of a better country for all of us. That's all we have. And that we can make that conjuring feel real by our willingness to sacrifice and to do and to take blows for willing to sacrifice and take and do. And that's why that jackass went in the parliament to insult us. He wanted to pull the blacks out of the candlelight movement. He wanted to pull the blacks. The brilliant, you know. These fellas ain't joking, you know. A media worker called me yesterday and he said, Philip, you know, these people, they need to re-establish Kamala as an enemy. They know Kamala weak, but they're afraid you. And they're afraid our movement. Because you're breathing down the neck. And they know that there will come a time when there will be 250,000 people outside the parliament. Peacefully, standing together, one people under one flag. They say, all right, it's done. The days of glorifying yourself are over. They know that as sure as night follows day, it coming. That all of those that want to be built on hate and mash up thing, how they burning up in daylight. How each and every one of them getting exposed for who they are, the empty vessels that they are, while this moves forward. When people wake up in the morning after rowdy talk is crap, and take ownership of a movement, is because the movement was built on the people. You name your party People's National Movement, but black people in that party don't know how to get from being supporter, voter, helping you with your $5 to actually getting where Faris and Stuart Young and Rohan Senanan could come with bag of money and buy our way in. A furniture man send his side chick to tell him, put she in the Senate. She gone in the Senate, bag of money politics. She gone in the Senate and she quoting philosophers. She can't pronounce the philosopher name. They laugh the girl out of politics. Side chick politics, bag of money politics. They call themselves People's Movement. How come for 58 years of Black People Party, the only people who ain't move in this country is black people? How come? How come? How come when the cabinet sit, if last man of the wicked Haynes didn't get a kobo sweat as National Security Minister, how come when they call the cabinet together there are no black people in it besides Rowley? How come? How come? You went and snatched and bring Penelope Beckles and Amory Brown. Like you went and snatched Gary Griffith to bring him in because these people still have a following. They still have a luster and a sheen. And they have people who will listen to them. You needed Gary bad. All the shit they just want to talk about Gary, them PNM, same PNM people. Because I told them, Gary is not going to toe your party line. He will do well for you. But don't cross that line with him. Penelope Beckles is another one. In that PNM, how come they have nowhere for black people to advance in this country? How come every time, outside of politics, outside of make a money, bag of money, get a job and thief a contract, pack some money away and drive a Mercedes-Benz and feel like you're somebody, outside of that, how come every single person of color who makes something of themselves, that have Trini roots, make it outside of Trinidad? How come? How come? Answer that, PNM. Answer that question. The point I wanted to make this morning. Sarah Kalipasad, who I think is brilliant, who has a contribution to make in the politics, but who, I don't know why, is so coward, sent me, and good morning Curleen, good morning Hadassah, good morning Precious, good morning to all of the beautiful women that stand with me and make it possible for me. I want to play something Sarah Kalipasad sent me, and it raised an issue again. Now, what you're about to see, what you're about to hear, is Anita Haynes making a contribution. Troy Hadid came on one of the chairs. He said, Phil, you're still playing the blame game. Troy, this is not the blame game now, brother. This is the expose game. This is beyond the bullshit. This is me coming to tell Trinidad and Tobago, let we look at ourselves. Let we see it. Take off all the makeup and the push-up bra and the high heel shoes. Look at us, who we really are. Let's face who we are. So that when we decide to go forward, if we go forward on a lie or a truth, we would have made a decision consciously. I want you to hear this exchange.
Now, I assure you that I do not think of flooding in any way as a laughing matter, having to deal with it on several occasions.
Listen to it, it's important.
And I wanted to take your word for it that we had cuts across the corporation. So I sat here and looked very quickly, and that is not in fact true, Mr. Minister. If you take a look at Diego Martin Regional Corporation, they got an increase under the drainage and irrigation program. So that what, pardon? Yes, but so is in Kuba Tabaki Tapa, and that is the point that we're trying to make. So we have to face a $2 million cut. The minister said, and I'm responding directly to the minister. The minister said, we all have to take these cuts across the board. And I took your word for it, almost. And then I looked. And it is not, in fact, true. Now, if it were that we were all taking the $2 million cut fine. But we are not, in fact, all taking the $2 million cut.
Okay.
No, but
Member Fatality and all members, we've had this
Now, the presiding officer is about to talk a crocus bag of putrid donkey ass. And this is why nothing do work in this country. After Anita Haynes took time to sensibly begin to prosecute her case, this is what she came up against in our parliament. We pretend that this is a democracy. The system set up to fail. It's a bullshit, and getting into it after. But I want you to hear the total and complete jackassery that this presiding officer had to say to Anita Haynes after making that case you just heard.
already. This is 5 hours.
yes.
And maybe some of us won't in here for the duration of 5 hours.
Now, first of all, ma'am, with all due freaking respect, that is the parliament of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And if you're not in it for the long haul, find another work. Go and drive taxi. Become a hair and nail technician. Work at your own leisure. You see the parliament? Parliament should be like church. It should be open 24/7. As long as a member of parliament want to stand up in his seat and speak, the parliament should be open. And the parliament channel should be on. So the public could hear. You see, what they're doing is they're gagging and silencing people under some very questionable rules that should not exist, that should be revoked, repealed, and redone. Because we're supposed to be able to have a parliament running 24/7, 365. And they have no presiding officer nowhere who what's supposed to be to shut people up who making a point. Anita Haynes was making a point that you said that all the districts lost $2 million, and we accepted that until we found out PNM districts were getting an increase. Now, why would that be so? If not a corrupting of the system? It is the question she was asking. She laid out a very sober and cogent point. She was about to get into her argument when this crocus bag of putrid donkey ass was the response.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, no, I assure you that I do not think of flooding in any way as a laughing matter, having to deal with it on several occasions already. And I wanted to take your word for it that we had cuts across the corporation. So I sat here and looked very quickly, and that is not in fact true, Mr. Minister.
That is Anita Haynes
Take a
talking.
look at Digo Martin Regional Corporation. They got an increase under the drainage and irrigation program. So that what, pardon? Yes, but so is in Kuba Tabaki Tapa, and that is the point that we're trying to make. So we have to face a $2 million cut. The minister said...
That is her representing her people.
The minister said, we all have...
She is doing what the parliament is for.
across the board. And I took your word for it, almost. And then I looked. And it is not, in fact, true. No, if it were that we were all taking the $2 million cut, fine.
She is
But
doing
we
her
are
job.
not, in fact, all taking the $2 million cut. No,
Listen to this. Listen.
And all members, we've had this discussion already. This is 5
Her
hours.
deodorant wearing off.
And maybe
She ain't like how she's smelling.
in here for the duration of
She wanna go man soak.
I wasn't here at the beginning, but I've heard this discussion out there. I've heard it here again. So us rehashing it is not going to get us anywhere.
That is the bullshit of PNM politics and our failed parliament. Why nothing don't work?
Okay?
Us rehashing it is what we're supposed to do till we solve it.
Understand our rules here. We've had this discussion. The minister has answered. Whether we accept the answer or not, I do not know. That rehashing it, your voice might be nicer than somebody else's own.
Listen to the jackassery
It doesn't change the essence
that passes for debate
and the response we're going to get.
in the Royal Imperial Majestic Banana Republic of do what the ass you like land.
The point about
Here it is.
equitable equity here
point.
Doesn't arise.
They have been made and they've been answered. So apparently you don't understand.
Listen to her.
A member, and therefore I'm not allowing any further discussion.
She's the boss.
The point is, you can make it. Madam Chair, the issue is on the public record, and that there was and you have already answered it. Thank you, Madam Chair. Next member, please.
That is insanity.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
That is absolute insanity. That is not democracy. That is bullshitocracy. That is using the parliament to block discussion, not to encourage discussion. And she was out of place. And it is a failed system. And our parliament works against us. And to you in Tabakit, who this morning don't have the money to pay for the flooding prevention in your community, that is going to happen because you don't get to debate. And the government in power could corrupt the system and cut some people's subvention and increase others. And the parliament where it's supposed to be debated, the presiding officer is not allowing it to be debated. That is absolutely unacceptable. And we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, 250,000 of us have to go in town for them to know that we want it better. We want when Anita Haynes or Saddam Hussein or anybody else from whichever side come to speak, you sit up, shut up, and try to look intelligent. Even if you don't like what they're saying, as long as they don't stray, the parliament is for free exchange. Parliament. Place for talking. Let them talk. They get it 20 minutes. Hush your ass and let them talk. Let them talk. Stand in order this and stand in order that. My ass. Faris and Camille Robinson Regis and the rest of them are trained by some of the best crooks in the world how to throw people off their game. I sat and listened to what Saddam Hussein went through in the state of emergency debate, and I am disgusted with the United National Congress that they do not have the means. And if I didn't raise this about Anita Haynes this morning, you wouldn't know. Because the United National Congress, behind a communication team of Kirk Megu, cold tea in the morning, Kirk Megu, who can't communicate with nobody, who is as boring as watching the replay of a cricket match, he is the head of their communication. If you ask the deputy political leader of the UNC, Jerlene John, who is in charge of communication in the UNC, she does not know. She does not know. And I put to you that there is an inner cabal in the United National Congress that is destroying our opposition, that has control over everything. And that's not the point of this, but to work with the UNC, and I'm willing to work with the UNC, and to the 510,000 supporters of the UNC, listen to me carefully, hear my words. I'm willing to stand firm with the UNC. I think Kamala will make an excellent president. I don't think she's prime minister anymore. I don't think Kamala is a strong opposition leader, but I don't think that there is anybody within the UNC that is. I think that we're in trouble when the opposition is concerned, and at some point we need to face that, and you own that party. And while you're sitting on your hands and waiting to see what will eventually happen, what will happen is the UNC will lose again, the PNM will win again, because this little tiny small stones cabal that trying to be best thief, who want to get into office so they could control and thief, the way Harry Back and them is control and thief for PNM, that is unacceptable. That you don't know that went on. That Kamala Persad-Bissessar cannot marshal forces and put Anita Haynes on TV and raise funds and pay for that and broadcast it on national television. Because what you saw, even the media had to rise to the defense of the candlelight movement. Because they know that we are so sure and so firm and so committed and so willing to defend that you can't get in that way. That if you're going to open your mouth, you better be talking right. We drong Rowley with fact. So Rhoda Barrett, jackass, is going to share on Facebook UNC calls for people to join them in their vigil. That existed. Vigils happened. We've established that fact. We are not denying that fact, jackass Rhoda Barrett. That NLCB money that you're getting is a waste of NLCB money because you're a fool and a troll. And the only purpose of your brain, I think, is to keep your ears from fighting. Nobody is saying that we didn't have vigils. We are standing proud with our vigils. We knew that Arima was going to be 5,000 people and San Fernando was going to be 10,000. And after that, PNM knew. Whatever we organized after that, they was going to be in trouble. Because if we came back to Woodford Square, we'd have filled the square. They knew that that is what was growing. They knew. So we're not hiding the fact that we had vigils. What we're saying is 14 days after the vigil, the cases were 2. 2, Rhoda. Like you're too big front teeth. 2. 21 days, 7. Rhoda. 7. After the vigils were over. After we're done. Even after Faris come out in his cap sleeve and try to jackass the scene, try to rowley the scene and come and light candle too. Even after him, when it was done, 21 days later, 14 days for incubation and 7 days more just for PNM. And we still were at 7 cases. But 14 days after Rowley's romp in Tobago, the only time in the history of our handling COVID-19 that we not getting information about contact tracing, where it come from, where it went, who touched who, is because of Tobago. Because they know that if the people of Trinidad and Tobago heard the truth, even Roshan Parashram and Avery Hines cannot lie because the numbers not lying and they have professional ethics to uphold. So they have to say, even if we try to lie, brother, 14 days after a romp in Tobago, 185 cases. Who to blame? The chicken that laid the egg or the cook? Keith Rowley is the arsonist that set that fire. Every single thing that took place in this country, that entire spike and all the people who sick and dying in this country, that is Keith Rowley's responsible. Jackass get away with it 3 times. He get away with it Carnival 2020, he get away with general election, and he get away with THA election. So he say, I could do what I want. But night does run till day catch it. And what is joke for schoolboy is death for crapo. And what we see take place in this country right now is as a direct result of the failure of the Prime Minister to run this country. And we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, need to stand up and vote him out of office today in a vote of no confidence and take your ragtag bunch of shithounds, incompetence, and latrine rats with you. We're tired of the noise. We're tired of your failure. Leave Petrotrin, leave WASA, leave TSTT, leave TNTech, because we're coming to find out every single one of your people, from free oil and fake oil and all the oil. We're coming to find out who touch what and who don't do what. We want to open back up Malcolm Jones' case so we can dig up he and Franklin Can and put them on trial. You see, we want a real country. We don't want stunt and lowering flag because you want to say Frankie dead. Frankie dead, that saved the country money. Take it from me. And we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we need to start to stand up and say what just took place in that parliament, that state of emergency, that farce, that nonsense. This is abuse of office. This is abuse of the Constitution. And because you could do it, don't mean that it's right to do. I want to read something that Joseph Rich Paul shared. And I have to read this because it's really important. And it will take me a minute to find it. So I apologize, but I saved it to read. Joseph Rich Paul is a bright guy when he ready. So, let me just find him and see if I find it on his wall. And it's important, so give me a minute, because it makes the point that I am making. There is no crueler tyranny than that which is perpetuated under the shield of law and in the name of justice. Baron de Montesquieu. Remember, apartheid was legal. Slavery was legal. It was legal to hang your slaves. There was a time it was legal to beat your wife. There was something called the rule of thumb. A man could beat his wife with a rod no thicker than his thumb. That is the rule of thumb. There is no crueler tyranny than that which is perpetuated under the shield of law and in the name of justice. Baron de Montesquieu. And it is why I said all those years ago that any real government, any true government that come to office that want to fix Trinidad and Tobago, we have to start with the laws of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Strike down, repeal, and undo all of those that don't work for us. Create, establish, and enshrine those that do. We need a simpler nation where we understand that right and wrong are the two rails, and you step off the right rail, you're on the wrong rail. And yes, there are shades of gray, and that's where judges and justice comes in. But we can't continue to build this bullshit country and have presiding officers when the Senate president was attacking Anil for his tone. How come nobody do attack that brain jackass Rowley? Rowley does whisper loud, gravelly and irritating. Every time he open his mouth to talk, it's a set of nonsense. Rah, 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 rah. He does sound like 15 St. James Stray Dog all back in at the same time. How come not one of them presiding officer ever tell him about his tone and his voice and his loud? How come? How come P&M spokespersons in the parliament could talk? And every time the UNC stand up, it's just hit them down. Saddam Hussein was entitled to make his contribution, and that the fact that they didn't let him made the entire event, that state of emergency debate, a farce. Circus. Fool us. Take taxpayers' money and pay for shit. Lie to us. Dance for us and tell us you can't talk, and for his brain side to say, yeah, you shut him up. And for if the UNC speaks for him, well, I just them understand for him because they're on the same side. So where does Trinidad come in? I asked the conversation when you separated Petrotrin and you made the conversation about the government and the union. I asked, where was Trinidad? The people who own Petrotrin, who bought Petrotrin, who taxes funded Petrotrin for all these years. Where were we in the conversation? Where are we in the conversation with the nonsense that's taking place in the over-politicization of our government and what takes place in the parliament, the failure of this nation state to even have a proper debate? Where are we? Nothing do work in Trinidad and Tobago. We need to fix that. And we're not going to fix that playing bullshit politics. We're not going to fix that playing Afro-Indian politics. We're not going to fix that saying, boy, to hell with them. Yes, I get $500 now. I taking that on the jersey and I just keep my ass quiet. We're not fixing it. That's the truth. Stay safe. Trinidad and Tobago.